Enhancement Essentials. Next slide, please. Today's speakers are myself, Deborah Langer. I'm a partner and also Vice President of Sales here at Datasource Consulting. And your keynote today is Solomon Williams, MDM Practice Lead. Quickly wanted to detail a little bit about Datasource Consulting. We are a consulting firm that focuses exclusively on enterprise data management and business intelligence. And we provide both strategic as well as implementation services. So for example, underneath strategic, we provide data governance, assessments, roadmaps, and project plans. We do vendor tool evaluation. We do program management, as well as assessments for business intelligence, data warehousing, and enterprise data management. So that's our strategic side of the house. We also have our doers on the implementation side. So we have several practices in this area: data architecture, data integration, data quality, business intelligence, master data management, and reporting and analytics. So again, thank you so much for joining Datasource Consulting today. Very quickly, wanted to cover just a little bit about logistics. The presentation today is about 30 minutes, and then we've reserved 15 minutes for Q&A. And we have everyone muted so that you can hear very clearly our presenter, Solomon. So when you do have questions, you would just type them into the question section, and then when the presentation is complete, we'll take all of your questions and get those answered. So again, thank you so much for joining Datasource Consulting. Data is something that we're very passionate about, as you'll see, so appreciate your time. Solomon.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Solomon Williams. I am the Master Data Management Practice Lead for Datasource Consulting. And today we are going to go through a high-level introduction of what is Master Data Management. Now, Master Data Management has been integrated into our almost everyday conversation. You hear about, oh, we're beginning a Master Data implementation. We're thinking about Master Data Management. We are in process of implementing our first Master Data domain. But in as many conversations around those implementations, strategies, and design discussions, there is still a significant undercurrent of lack of understanding of what exactly master data and what master data management is. So today we are endeavoring at a high level to give a foundational knowledge of what master data management is. So what is master data? Master data are the elements that are critical to the business of the organization. Those data elements are grouped into domains for ease of management, and these domains can include customers, accounts, vendors, products, locations, and employees. That's just really a guideline. For your business or your industry, that domain can be created with any area that is critical in understanding, to put a certain amount of rigor around to ensure that that information is shared consistently and effectively across the organization. The key benefits of master data management, I mean, what the real takeaway from an MDM initiative is data quality, data integration, and data synchronization. So if you consider that in order to make the most effective use out of your data, you have to be ensured that it's valid, it's usable, and it has the same meanings for everyone. Then you have to be able to share that data, data integration. How are we going to ensure that that data is actually published and leveraged across the organization? And then again, the data synchronization, enabling downstream applications, including data warehousing and BI, to leverage the same data with consistent definition. So if you consider those three things of a value proposition, key value proposition of master data management, it is the data quality, data integration, and data synchronization brought together in one executable program. What are the sources of master data? Where does it come from? So master data is sourced from the line of business or operational system. If you consider healthcare, you have billing systems, you have EMRs, you have appointment systems. In financial and banking environments, you have deposit systems, you have investment systems, you have security systems. All of those systems contain master data management, whether it's operations and supply, finance, risk and HR, regulatory and government, external data that's coming in that needs to be managed, and even sales and marketing communication. All of those environments contain master data. And each line of business has some portion of master data contained therein.
So the characteristics of master data. The key characteristics are that they are the entities that participate within the transaction. So you may have a party or the organization or person that's actually taking place in the transaction. The product, what or service that's actually being bought or purchased, the actual account, or the location. It defines the who, what, and where of a given transaction. There are no predefined set of allowed values. And you'll find that that's a little different when we get to reference data, where those values do have predefinitions, are predefined, and we'll talk about that when we get to the reference data component, the reference data webinar. But for master data management, it can be created, changed, and modified within the business application. So within your CRM application, within your ERP application, within when a customer goes in to an online account and updates their profile, they're actually changing the master data that relates to them. Or when you're going in and changing the characteristics of a product or a service that's being offered, you are changing the actual master data related to that product and or service. Master data can change frequently, reflecting on the fact that master data evolves. People move, they change address, they may change phone numbers, they may have life events where they change their name. So all of these things have to be taken into consideration, and that is absolutely normal, and it does have that capability of changing. So master data for a customer that was created 2 years ago may be different than it is today. And we have to be able to manage those changes and keep updates as frequent as possible. Also, master data can have a complex data structure and many properties. You may have an entity or a definition that may have 70, maybe even 80 additional attributes that create what is known as the master data record or best available record. And that's fine as long as we are managing those additional attributes through a adaptable and modifiable data structure, the underlying data model that it sits in. It's critical to ensure that the master data management component of the master data is flexible and capable of doing so. So we talked about master data, where master data comes from, what master data is. But now, what is master data management? So master data management is the collection of people, processes, technology used to synchronize, integrate, and manage the quality of data required to enable the business of the organization. That says a lot. Let's make it simple. Master data management simply gives you the capability of effectively managing your master data, the ability to make changes to the master data itself, the ability to manage points in time of master data, and the ability to share and keep that data updated. That is the key gist of what is master data management. And there are some capabilities that go outside of your standard data management activities, such as being able to keep a snapshot in time of what my master data domains look like prior to a reorganization, prior to or after a merger and acquisition. So it gives you those capabilities. It also gives you the capabilities of managing business rules. So the various complexities of how records merge and match and what records survive and how are we going to apply these various rules of survivability are various components of master data management. And then there are the aspects of the data stewards. What do the data stewards' activities are? How are they looking at records that didn't have an exact match? What are the processes they need to leverage to ensure that, well, I need to go in on a daily, weekly, monthly basis just to ensure that my merge, match, and survivorship processes are still effective? When you bring that people, process, and technology component together with those additional capabilities, now you have master data management. So why MDM? Why do it in the first place? Well, MDM provides many solutions, provides many opportunities to solve many different problems, from data duplication, lack of standardization, business process disharmony, and difficulty in integrating similar data from disparate sources. Master data, and those are the technical aspects. But if you were to look at some of the business drivers for MDM, let's say you have a financial consolidation issue. You may have multiple subledger systems with different definitions of what a customer is or what an account is. Maybe you have multiple chart of accounts and you want to consolidate of accounts. Maybe you have multiple general ledgers. In some instances, you may have several different ERP systems, and you're embarking on an ERP consolidation project. Master data management would be an impactful way to be able to manage that consolidation of ERPs without the huge uptick in cost to try to consolidate from multiple ERPs to one ERP. And then there's also the reporting, the compliance, and the regulatory from consolidating patient records in healthcare, from compliance and risk in BCBS 239, from banking and financial industries. There are numerous business drivers for MDM that also solve these same issues. But if you look at the graphic here, what you'll note is that the data stewards and how they involve themselves in the day-to-day practices of MDM and how they govern the data coming from multiple sources, going into the master data hub itself. The master data hub itself is the central area where you're applying your data quality rules, business process integration rules, business rules of survivorship and merging and matching. And then that publishes out whether it's going to a data warehouse, other line of business systems like financial systems. And it's the match rules and trust and survivorship is what actually gives us that data to be able to share and publish. So let's look at a typical MDM example. In our example here, we have a customer that is going to make a call. This customer is Peggy Hill. Peggy is going to call and buy a product. The first person she speaks to is going to place that order entry, and then you'll see that with the information that Peggy provides, we're going to get her customer number, her street address. But note the difference between what happens between the customer interaction and the order entry. The city has been changed. So instead of Arlen, Texas, it's now Aiken, Texas. But without any data quality or without any pre-processing of that data would then go drop to the billing system. And here there's yet another change. So Peggy Hill's name has been improperly captured as Penny Hill. So now Penny Hill is, still lives at 123 Rainy Street, but now the city, again, that has been propagated is Aiken, Texas. Not Arlen, Texas, where she lives, but it's just taking the information from the secondary system from which it got it. Then billing sends that information over to order fulfillment. And here, it's an abbreviation. Now you have P Hill. And one of the other things that you want to note as we go through this process, look what happens to the customer number. In the order entry system, you have one version of the customer number. In the billing system, you have yet another. And in order fulfillment, you have another. Now, this isn't necessarily an error because the different systems are serving a different purpose. Whereas the customer number from the order entry may only have these 6 digits because, in some situations, the field can only hold 6 characters. But then when you get in the billing system, we have to pad to be able to fit the actual data into the field, so we pad it with 2 zeros. But then when we look at, the order fulfillment, the customer number has a different structure because it's serving a different purpose. It's serving maybe segmentation, maybe how they're categorizing the orders from an order fulfillment perspective. And then it drops to the distribution warehouse. And yet again, the customer number has a different format where it may be serving for routing or shipping purposes. So all of these different systems that are serving different line of business functions not only are storing the same information differently, we also have challenges around how the master data itself, Peggy Hill being the party, the address change, the city change as it drops from system to system. Now, when it gets to the distribution warehouse, given that this customer has a customer number, has probably had deliveries before, they know that she lives on Rainey Street in Arlen, Texas, but instead, it's still that remains, you have an issue with the address. And somehow this gets to the customer more than likely through additional follow-up phone calls, corrective activities, but what's to be taken away from that are the hours invested in getting this product to the customer to ensure customer satisfaction. Then when we look at from what happens from a marketing perspective, from order fulfillment to marketing after the order has been received, we actually get Margaret Hill, which is the legal name for Peggy Hill, and the customer number, which is similar to the number that we had over here in the order entry system. They have a corrected address. They have a corrected city and state. And that's probably because in a lot of areas marketing has other areas or other data that they can bring in from a merging, matching perspective. But again, the takeaway here is the hours invested in ensuring that that data is accurate to get out information to the customer from, a customer satisfaction, customer maintenance perspective. But in looking at this example, what we got from the Data Warehouse Institute, as you can see, is that inaccurate and low-quality data costs U.S. businesses approximately $611 billion each year in bad mailings and staff overhead alone. That's all the hours put into qualifying, cleaning, and making sure that this information is correct instead of focusing on the higher value add activities. This is something that actually can be recouped. Now, again, that impact of non-master data results in the various changes that occur, as we pointed out, between the customer number here and the customer number here, which is something that is normal. And line of business systems may store that data differently. What MDM would allow is the consolidation of those various different formats to ensure that there's one consistent format that when it goes to the data warehouse or the other line of business applications that they're using the same data. It would also be able to merge and match the various naming structures, the Peggy Hill, the Penny Hill, the P Hill, the Margaret Hill, the Margaret P. Hill. So in these various line of business systems, you have these various naming formats and constraints around how the name is stored, who is the actual customer. So when you think of terms like 360-degree view of customer, know your customer, anti-money laundering, fraud detection, master data management enables the consolidation of those various formats so that we have one corrected, best available, and golden copy, if you will, of who actually the customer is. So again, just in a cleaner format, when we look at the impact of master data, we look at these various source systems that I just went over, from a CRM, billing, shipping, even from a social media perspective. What the MDM applications do is it not only says, you know what, this customer is Peggy Hill, this is her corrected address, this is the city and state which she lives. It also creates a householding. It creates a relationship between the other customers based on other key information. So the matching of 123 Rainey Street in Arlen, Texas, and we have another 123 Rainey Street in Arlen, Texas, have the same address. Peggy Hill and Hank Hill are more than likely spouses. And that information can be validated through other sources by bringing in other data from external sources for enrichment to be able to validate that. And then by creating that household, we can see that, you know what, they hold these particular accounts. So that merging and matching and creating of a best available record, creating the relationship between just one account and another account, and then being able to create that householding to give the view to the company that it says, this is who we're doing business with. What is their purchase history? What is their credit? What is their payment history? How do they normally pay? Do we have a social media preference for that customer? How can we better outreach to them? Do we truly know their purchase profile and how they generally conduct their business? That type of information is invaluable, and that's what master data management provides. In addition, it also provides that information to your other line of business and operational systems, such as marketing applications, warranty management, and then other BI applications to do an analytics and being able to truly target and market specific offerings to those customers. The other MDM business case drivers are, compliance, automate manual processes, which reduce overhead and saves countless hours and dollars in lost revenue and opportunities. It reduces data errors by being able to implement data quality processes and procedures before that data is shared downstream. It identifies risk by being able to get, from a legal entity identification perspective, being able to create relationships and being able to see that if I'm doing business with Company A also owns or is affiliated with companies B, C, and D, I get a true sense of what my exposure from a risk perspective is. Support systems consolidation efforts like ERP consolidations, financial management system consolidations, CRM system consolidations, strategic initiatives from consolidating data silos, cost reduction and revenue increase, identify cross-sell, upsell opportunities, customize product offerings and bundles. The opportunities for master data management are numerous. This is just a highlighting of some of the more salient or more prevalent business use cases that we see on a regular basis. But when you dig into how do I know if this use case is right for master data management, some of the things that you want to consider are, is there a data quality impact to the challenge that we're facing? Can this impact be reduced by having a consolidated source of information that the entire organization can use? And can this reduce the level of one-off efforts I have to perform to be able to provide the same data and information to my downstream constituents? As you walk through those aspects and high-level identifiers, master data management solution may be the right solution for you. Now, that concludes our presentation from our overview and introduction of master data management, and we are prepared at this point to answer any questions from the audience as they come in.
Excellent. Thank you, Solomon. Now we'd like to open it up for questions. So once again, on the right-hand side, you should have a question section, so just type them in. Solomon, I did want to ask you a question because out in the field, some of the common questions that I get asked is oftentimes clients have CRM, Salesforce, what have you. And a couple of the questions that come up is MDM and CRM the same, I hear? That's one of the questions I get asked. And then also I get asked, if I have CRM, do I even need MDM? Could you answer those for me?
Thank you, Deborah. I'd be happy to. So there are some significant differences between a CRM application and an MDM application, wherein I could understand why there are some similarities. People would tend to think they're the same. CRM applications are designed for literally customer relationship management. Means that it tracks the touch points that a customer has with an organization and does maintain a certain portion of the customer identity, of the customer profile, name, address, phone number, contact information, and what have you. But that CRM system does not manage the best available record of that information. As your shipping company, as in our example, your billing company is going to have a record of that information. Your shipping company is going to have a certain portion of that information. Your marketing organization is going to have a certain portion of that information. And the CRM system does not reach out to these other systems, pull that information together into a best available record. It literally manages the various touch points and says, this is the last time that we spoke to the customer, these are open activities with customers, these are some of the decisions that are pending on a customer's account, but it's not designed to manage that data, to apply data quality rules or business processing rules, or even automate business processes. Those are what master data management does. On top of that, the CRM system doesn't have the processing engine or capability as an MDM solution does to be able to process vast millions of rows of records from various different systems to pull together a best available record or golden copy, if you will. Now, the second question is, if you have a CRM, do you need an MDM? I would say generally yes. CRM systems benefit greatly from that best available record from a master data management portfolio. As information is entered from a CRM, whether it's coming from an IVR, whether it's coming through a website, or whether it's just coming through the customer call center or what have you, that information that's being entered and stored is invaluable to the rest of the organization in selected bits. But if you pulled that information from a CRM and join that with the other data from the organization to create that best available record, what the CRM system gets back is a much richer data set that they have a much more comfortable view. And again, when you talk about 360-degree view of the customer service representative or customer care person can now have a more intimate conversation with the customer because they're aware of their interactions through the website, they're aware of their interactions through the IVR, they're aware of their billing history, of their payment profile, of products that they may be interested in. So not only is there a greater opportunity for upsell and cross-sell, but a closer conversation between that customer care representative and the customer begins to evolve because you have a much richer data set.
Thanks, Solomon. You know, if I could refer back to, I think it was either slide 2 or 3, you don't have to go to that slide unless you want to, but, you know, when I was watching the account information flow through the organization, I mean, obviously data quality was a key problem. So if you already have a data quality solution that is solving some of these pieces, how does that work with MDM in the mix?
No, Deborah, that's another great question. So data quality is a huge component of master data management, and a lot of organizations begin with a data quality initiative. They'll buy a tool or they'll have homegrown processes for managing data quality. Where a master data management solution complements that is that we can have more finer grained rules defined in the MDM solution. We can handle that inbound data flow from multiple systems. So wherein you may have a data quality application or engine for a given application or line of business, the MDM rules that would be, or the rules that would be implemented in an MDM solution would be much broader from an enterprise perspective or even from an entire line of business perspective, and they would be put in order of execution based on priority. So the biggest difference is MDM is much better at managing data quality at a line of business and group of applications or across the enterprise, and then aligning those rules or orchestrating them, if you will, in an order of execution and operation that's beneficial to the consumers of that data to ensure that it's consistent across the enterprise.
Great, thanks, Solomon. One more question for you, and again, if anyone else has questions, feel free to type those into the question section. With enterprise data warehouses, many of our clients have those types of solutions. So this next question is very much so in alignment with the one that I just asked. If they have an EDW, how does that play with MDM?
So one of the foundational concepts, if you will, as you're embarking on an MDM initiative and you begin thinking about your strategy is this going to be an operational MDM or is this going to be analytical MDM? And if it's analytical in nature, which generally, which a lot of organizations start from an analytical model, is that they leverage the MDM domains to begin to structure and align their data warehouse dimensions. So those domains themselves generally translate to the dimensions in the data warehouse, and it gives a finer grain of control over the dimensions of the data warehouse because the domains themselves, being the who, what, where of a transaction, will give you the same views, if you will, from the dimensions in the data warehouse. Even if it's an operational MDM, that operational MDM being part of the operations of the everyday system lines of business, by pulling together in that consolidated hub the best available view of given data domains, that information will still be consumed by the data warehouse, and by consuming it from the MDM hub, you can ensure that the governance that's been put around those data definitions, the data quality that's been implemented to scrub and ensure that the usability, availability of the data is where it should be, as well as the metadata definitions. So from a reporting and analytics perspective, your end consumers can then determine how what processes this data is going through, what are the calculations of it, what are the true definitions. By pulling that data from the MDM hub, you get that data quality assurance, you get that data governance assurance, you also get the metadata definition and alignment assurance. So MDM complements not only upstream and downstream from a business intelligence data warehouse perspective, it is the single most impactful activity that a company can take to increase not only their business, their line of business capability, but their business productivity as well.
Great, thanks, Solomon. I kind of lied when I said that was my last question. I thought of one more that I wanted to ask you. A lot of times we get asked the question, especially in retail or other lines of business, should we be looking at MDM or should we be looking at PIM, right? Product Information Management. Can you just quickly detail the differences between those two solutions?
Absolutely, and no worries. So when you look at master data management, it has been segmented for a number of years between customer and product, primarily because of the structure of the underlying data model that supports it. And when you have product, so let's look at it this way. In multi-domain MDM, you'll have customer, you'll have location, you'll have vendor, you have employee, you have those domains that are relatively structured in a similar manner. When you get to product, product is a far and different because there is so much more drive from a workflow perspective, number one, and then number two, there's additional data that surrounds the product. So when you look at PIM, PIM is not only designed to hold numerous attributes for a given entity, but there's also other data formed, other data structures that have to go along with that, such as media materials, MSDS data sheets, pictures, marketing components. So when you look at a product and management of a product, it's not just a single entity. It's all of the other groups that have to be collaborative. This is where the collaborative workflow or the collaborative authoring component comes in, because when a product is idealized and it's first entered into your product life cycle management application and it goes through all of its processes and now it's ready to be released, then before it hits your MDM solution, engineering has to sign off, marketing has to sign off, sales has to sign off, shipping has to sign off. And as it goes through that process, PIM solutions tend to support to a greater level of detail that collaborative authoring workflow management. But then again, the photographs for marketing, for media, for online media, for paper media, for television, for stand-up in product. Then there's the electrical, what do you call it, the help guides, the product catalogs, the things along that line. That media management component is also significant to PIM implementations. Now, if you have literally hundreds or thousands of products that you need to manage, a PIM solution is ideal. Now, there are numerous customers that have bought a standardized MDM solution and have implemented product as one of those domains. And what you'll note as a difference between them is that there are a lesser degree of collaborative authoring workflow requirements, and there's a significantly lesser degree requirement to manage additional media along with that product. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, great. Just would like to once again thank everyone for attending, and want to remind everyone that this is part 1 of our MDM series. On 6/16, we will cover reference data management, which is a huge component of MDM. And then on July 7th, we're covering social media MDM. So I'm super excited about that one. I think that that one will be very interesting. And just want to remind everyone that after this MDM series, we will have another educational series right on the heels of that. So we hope that you're getting a lot of value out of these educational presentations, and appreciate your time. This will be posted on our website in a couple of days, so if you have questions or would like to review it again, that will be made available to you. So again, thank you everyone, and we'll talk to you later on the next series, 6/16. Thank you so much.